the growth of our population is not commensurate with economic parameters that would allow us to break even in our development. If you can reflect a bit, 1969 we had about 9.7 million people. And those of you who are counted in 2014, we are already sounding 24.7 million. So you can calculate the astronomical figures that we realized in that short time. And now as we speak, the statisticians are telling us we are projecting a population of over 45 million. And yet Uganda, the land of Uganda is not expanding. Earlier on, before the census of 2001, 2002, most of our population was undergoing a lot of challenges, including wars and diseases. But now when we discovered our importance as Ugandans, to see that we fight some of the problem that we face as a country, like fighting common diseases that were with us when we improve our health conditions. Few of the children were dying because of common diseases. And now, because of the improved health services, there are more of these young people growing and entering into the population registers. That automatically tells you that the population of Uganda has been expanding much more within the youthful age of 15 to 24 years. And these are the people whom we look at as the backbone of our economy. But they are also faced with a lot of problems. And that we can see that as a youth, and many of us have gone through this period called youthfulness, which I want to tell the youth present here, that your being there as youth is just like being in a sentence. If you are an English student, when you are writing a sentence, in between there you put commas and semicolons. And at the end of the sentence you put a full stop or a question mark. That's a complete sentence. So youthfulness is like a comma in the process of writing a sentence. And therefore don't get stuck there and say, because I'm a comma, I'm also very important. And you'll be there forever. You are just transiting. And some other people who don't know English don't care about commas and semicolons and apostrophes. They just flow like the water from Mount Elgon, which flows and doesn't care whether you are there down the hill as a chairman, as a mayor, what it will come and it will push you down. So the message I'm giving here is that as youth, try to learn and make use of your time. Discover your potentials and be able to move for a better future so that you can be a better full stop. If you are not a useful full stop, you will become a redundancy and an encumbrance to communication. And therefore you spoil everything. Because if you are speaking and you are putting full stops everywhere, then you are not going to communicate. You are just making noise. So I want the youth to discover this. And some of the issues we have when you're growing as a youth is that biologically, youth discover that there are body changes with them, including the growing of breath, the increase of voice, the growing of pubic hair. All these are discoveries that a youthful person sees in his or herself. And having done that, biologically, you also want to discover what is the usefulness of all this, including trials and guided experimental trials. And that is having early sex. When you're discovering, you see what is not there, you start to get trouble on why that has happened to you. For example, if you're a girl and you have grown breath, You don't have even the shame to touch your breath. You always touch it because there's something that's disturbing you. And when you're a boy, you start touching your penis every now and then, just because you are disturbed. So you are trying to discover. And when you discover it, you want to try that the other opposite sex of mind should be where this penis should go. Those are all experiences you discover as a young person. And it's biological, it's not your problem. You shall not take it to police for it. But the rest of your police will see how you are trying to discover your trials. And that's why now in the present population, we are also having this big problem of homosexuality. Homosexuality is not new, it has been there. It has been there, all of that is being suppressed. But now we are saying it is a right that people have that. And that's why Parliament now came with its discussions. And recently the court pronounced and dismissed 4 of the sections of that law. And people are still negotiating, discussing, because we belong to different parts and situations of the world. And because we have made this a global village, so humanity has to find a way on how to coexist. So that's why for me, I don't want to be a specialist in that subject, but I'm reading, and I get it also. So don't say the RCC has come here to discuss about homosexuality, but it's what is written. If you don't know how to read, don't blame me. Because these things are written there, and we all read about it. What took place in the court, we read about it. But sometimes your common sense tells you, when there are issues which are happening in the world, pick interest. If there's somebody who has murdered someone, don't just go there and start lamenting and crying and condemning, but discover why did this person do this, so that you can be able to help the rest of the people later. And that's why police is here. They are not here only to come and arrest, but they must also come here and police. You are so emotional that you start to claim equality with your parents. If you're a boy, you want to behave like your father, and even sometimes shut him down. You Muzee, you seem to be, you are not reasoning. You don't understand. Don't you know that this world today is .com? You blame him for not being a youth, and yet he's the one who brought you. You are telling him you don't know what you are doing. But you know how I brought you there. These are the changes that we see in our own experiences. If you are a girl, you also become wild. You want to come late home, you don't want to cook, you want to go and socialize and do your own things. But as a family, you tolerate some of these things, and you see how you can cope up with these experiences as a family. And that's why we have differences of families. There are families which fall apart because they don't know how to handle some of these issues with their children, with their youth. There are others who are very strict, more than strict to the point of scaring children never to talk to them. They become scarecrows. That's why you find out this family is good, the other family is bad. Why? Because of these changes. Socially, when you are youth, you want to create space in society. You want to claim for your position, and you always want to show that you are present. And that is it about youthfulness. You also want to claim respect. Even when you know you are indisciplined, you want to be respected as a youth. It is your right, you claim for it, yes. But how are you claiming this right of being respected? You respect yourself. You are put on your trouser up to the window level. In between your buttocks, even something can be seen that you have not, since you came from the toilet, nobody has advised that you have a torn boxer. But you are just proud to say, you must know that I'm the one in this village. We know you have the muscles, right? But how are you applying it? You also want to do a lot of experience. Because if you are a student from university, from A level, from some place, you have read computer science, ICT, you are well informed, and you want to do the impossible. This is okay, but how you apply is what is very important, because we know today we are all in a global village. You go on TV, you see what you have never seen from your own traditional village, and you want to import that to the village. So the challenges that we have facing the youth, ladies and gentlemen, are quite enormous. Beginning from the challenge of not having enough parenting. You know, most of the parents these days are run away from their responsibilities. They don't care how children are. I believe to come here because today most of the schools are closed. As a responsible parent, I was seeing how my children can come and get me in Mbale. So I must take it serious that these children are secured well and reach to Mbale. You can entrust to a friend, to a driver, but can create you a problem and say, you know, the vehicle has had a mechanical fault. And spend with the children time in Uganda. You don't know what they are doing there. So some of you who have responsibilities and have drivers, be careful, including entrusting the driver to take your wife to school. That is insecurity itself. So you must be very sure that this driver will take your wife secure well and bring her back. Otherwise you will have problems. So parenting is very, very important. That we must guide these children, and that's why I think we are mixed up. Secondly, when you are growing as a youth, sex education. There are very few families where they discuss about sex education. Because in certain families it's seen as a taboo. To say a child must keep her vagina clean. Some of you already are getting shocked. They are saying this RDC must be arrested. It's talking careless. I'm not careless. I'm just saying the truth. Because this workshop is for adults. If you know you are 18 years, please excuse me, just go out a bit and I finish. Otherwise, we must talk the truth now. We must be very sincere to ourselves, and this is how I talk to my family, this is how I talk to my children. Because they must know the hardcore of the problem. You cannot just dodge issues. Presently, the youth also have issues of cultural constraints. Some cultures, you don't talk about the negatives of a culture. Yes, we have the law against female mutilation, genital mutilation. But in certain societies, even here in Mbale, there is still hidden female genital mutilation. True or false? Don't answer, because they will capture your voice. But the good thing is that the law is there, and people have accepted that practice is very erroneous, and it's bad. It degrades a female person. We also have issues of the wild global engagements. I've told you the world is now a village. So our youth today are seeing too much than what their parents can see. And they can imagine beyond what a normal museum can imagine. Because for them they're exposed. They get to the computer and see impossibilities. And that's what we call innovation. But we have to guide them. We have to see that they apply that for purposes of helping themselves and probably creating employment for themselves. In Uganda, we have a problem of youth suffering from unemployment. The other time during our period, we didn't have UP, we didn't have even USC. But we are reading and enjoying our secondary education through scholarships. You perform very well, you are awarded a scholarship, you go and read. We are even getting boom in the universities. Those of you who have been there in Makerere in early days, there was boom. You go there, you are reading, at the end of the term, the end of the semester, you are given a salary, and they used to call it boom. You go all around Makerere, there are those villages, Makerere, Kibulu, all those areas around. You will find that most of those children and those adults who are there are products of Makerere University. Just like any other university. all the people you find around there are trial areas, trial experiments of these university students. That's what is happening. Because you are doing what? You are discovering. I'm going to graduate, I'm going to be a doctor, I'm going to be an engineer, I'm going to be a parent. So how do I start? You get a small, those ones who are selling pancakes there, try there. As you try, you have a follower. But the bad part of it socially is that you have tried, you have left somebody to doctor pregnant. You graduate and just disappear like a church rat. So ladies and gentlemen, what we need to discuss in this meeting is that we must all change our attitudes. Our mindsets should start to think differently. And we see that we are all important and we can contribute to the solution of the youth facing challenges in our society. The policies we have about youth need to be applied well. You know, we have had some of the projects that have been tried by government to tackle youth affairs. Many of you, I don't know whether you have had experience of what we call the youth livelihood projects, where we give money to youth. For us as supervisors and government monitors, we have had problems. These youth put themselves together, they get 30 million. Those who are bright will definitely show that they are bright. They will form and lead the association, they distribute the money, then they disappear. They change even their postal addresses and places of abode. They just disappear there, and now it is worse even in Mbale. There are some Bugisu behind the mountain called the Bugisu. Is that so? Some of them have escaped there. And since this one Kabaka, one Mbuga, there is no way you can run to Kenya and say, I'm following money for youth. They only wait, when they reach 32 years, they come back. You ask them, you are youth the other day, but they tell you, we are not youth. That's why I'm talking of you youth, you are just commas in a sentence. Because you can see. Others have got employment, they have already gone. They are there in United Arab Emirates. They have changed their place of abode. They are going to look for green pastures. So you cannot use Interpol to say this person went with YLP funds. We also have to help our societies to fight against discrimination. These are some of the problems the youth have, especially the female gender. They don't have a way of living, and therefore anybody, sugar daddies, can go around and lie to them and sweet talk them, and it's worse here in Mbale and around the hostels. This we know. At least sugar mummies, they are not too many. They are still not too many. But sugar daddies have a problem. We also have a problem of fighting unemployment. We should try as much as possible to see how we can provide employment for our youth. These are some of the issues that we have. But for today, I think we are here to evaluate what was